Excuse me. There's been some kind of mistake. What you sold me was not actually Adderall, so maybe we could... Do you think you can get me some real Adderall?
Yeah, of course. I could do that, or I can give you some of this.
Delivered in center speak through a grid of zipper teeth and loose lips. Each from your rap plugged a different leak. First class, middle seat, the lows with the highs. To be frank, beef's only worth a Polish and fries. Quasimodo will rhyme. My name chimes at a higher pitch. Unseen pricey gifts treated like a pint of piss. In designer print, the spitting image of pirate pimps. The pyre lit, they just need to find a witch or a scientist. Living at the bottom of a bottle when the lightning hit. Defying his dying wishes, an infant smiling when diapers trip. You're welcome. Adderall Adams out of retirement. Polishing a handful of jewelry they couldn't mine a mint. So it's old war to the old guard. Claim they got a top spot till they drag from it like a tow car. Want a verse? I'ma need a gold yard. Cause I'm so broke, dog. The other day I tried to crack a postcard. Music still skipping from Chicago to Rome. And there's barely surviving the trip from college to home. I'm playing Contra with Hove and Gallagher with Beyonce. Slapping white people who pronouncing it Solange. Why you trying to cop like the plug in your dusty town? Know you got a job cleaning up, made your mother proud. Front like you don't mop in the scrubs, whipping suds around until you got rocked in the club like a button down. Trying to pass off a counterfeit chin check. Power switch, flip back. Counters hit, split flesh. Out the lion's den with every one of my limbs left. Felt like I was talking to a wall until the bricks wept.
Ooh! Shit, bro! If you didn't have a chance to catch this project with us last night for the first listen, I'm playing a few songs off the joint right now. We're going to talk about this project.
They make as much sense as streaming revenue. Death the road mutant with the touch of death who left the school. Bet the rules like these ghouls do election news or progressive views. I'll flick this pen and make metal stews. Sorry, we expected Mr. Levin who sent for you. Sanding these edges smooth as the centers of
Appreciate everybody stopping by.
None of my metrics move. I'ma carve a wave in this blade shade until the stencil.
It's another Talkin' Truth stream, baby!
Head in the clouds could make a couple of Hondas Heelys. Used to get twisted quick as parallel parking steering. Dropping gems on them and all they done is lost an earring. Talking about some pockets, fam, you wouldn't run the risk. Walk the middle of Elm Street dreams and seen the shutters flip. They double dipping in trouble until they bubble slit. Listening as they umbrellas click, trying to duck the drip.
Is to destroy that civilization. Not one trace of life is to remain on this entire planet.
Back to the intro screen for a second. In just a minute with the guys for the interview. Let's go.
I was outside battling while they wrestled with agoraphobia. How they asked for the problem and struggle solving the formula. Bars, hard body, yours get autopsies and coroners. Mourners marking your corner, hanging poems, bottles, and portraits up. Hit them with death stares, they responded with rigor mortis. Hate is common as a second mortgage in River Forest. Call me ill-advised, took a million tries to heal the losses. Only thing realer than pain is what the drillers drawing. In and out of stock of bars, they was finna bite until the distance started hitting like a hidden knife in a prison fight. Stripping fright on my vision like demoted lieutenant stripes. They game ain't even ready for Fisher Prices and Little Mikes. Water style extinguishing the candles on their cake. When the facts is in their face, it's rattling their faith like finding out that their favorite holiday characters was fake. This a caliber of great, not even
up, Wally?
could date.
What up, Cruz? Appreciate you tuning in. We got both the guys in the waiting room right now in the Zoom chat. Just wanted to give you guys a couple songs here. I'm gonna go let them into the Zoom chat, and I will be right back with the guys here momentarily. So stay tuned. Under like 2 minutes here. What up, Munher? Appreciate you tuning in. I gotta go grab my ashtray, let them in the Zoom chat, and we'll start it up. I'll be right back. Oh, that's the wrong screen.
Rewinding game tapes, trying not to hate the player. Rich in detail, sweaters drying on radiators. Broken life, joy means more with less ends. Envy is a liar and resentment is its best friend. False idols, they own persona, the golden calf. Just a poker face dropping off of a broken man. River of folded hands, every smile he Shows a sham after a life of trying to prove that kindness is in low demand. Rap retirement plan, like I got a choice. These rhymes will haunt me every day, like my father's voice. Iris like a tree ring when I've wept songs. Everything welcome in my cipher, except loss. Anything that was handed to me has strings attached by people who reduced me to ash with a finger snap. Felt like nobody wanted to bring me back. Stuck too far under thin skin to clip the sting from that.
Rats, maybe was the cherry blossom scent. Very awesome sin, a vision. I would say for later, but never got the smell of just imagine like a failure. If you inhale, just say hell yeah. Music
Yo,
make
what's
worlds
good?
go round. You could be at my show. I never
Chillin'.
know.
How are you?
Yo, Wes, I love your music, bro. Money make the world go round. I was a square since I
Hey,
built the
what's up,
shape
Nick?
up. Got passed on, let go. With every fleeting simple show of interest, yeah, I gas on my gas, son.
Yo, I'm chilling. I'm happy to see Nick. I haven't seen you in years, sir. It's been quite some time.
What up?
I said I haven't seen you in some years, sir. One time more, and it was door number 3 at Double Door, which no longer exists.
All right.
Now, they now sell cooler supplies.
Oh,
That's
man.
the Yeti store, right?
Yeah, it's Yeti
Yeah.
now. But yeah, it was in the basement, and yeah, I got in trouble with security that night. It was the only time I've ever gotten in trouble with venue security
Oh, man.
for reasons that shall remain off the record.
Did they kick you out, or did they just give you a hard time?
No, they gave me a hard time. I was
Okay.
rocking. It was a Push Beats show. So it was me. It was Broken Wristwatch. Which is Nick and Tom Moore. Who shout out to Tom Moore, who's a really dope rapper. It was Seth Severe and Uncle L. I think played DJ Uncle L. Played a beat set as well. That was a good night. That was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. You said that was a few years ago, right?
Like
Yeah.
4.5, almost 5, man.
It feels like 10 years
Damn,
ago since
that's
we've had live
crazy.
shows, man. Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
you guys haven't seen each other since then, and you just made this project in 10 days. How does that happen? Because it's absolute greatness for being... Okay, and I have a question right off the bat. I'm very
All right.
confused. I just was looking on the project on Bandcamp on my browser, right? And it's 5 songs. On my phone, on the app, it's 6 songs. There's a 6th song on there. But it doesn't show
Yeah.
up on the browser. What is that? How does that work?
So it was the first joint. So just to kind of backtrack a little bit. So my 2020 and my 2021 were pretty much set, good to go. And then the project that I was gonna drop last month with August Fanon, shout out to him, got pushed back to February. And so I thought about the producers who I've worked with before, or people who I knew who could produce a high quality product with a short turnaround time.
Okay.
And here's the thing that people don't necessarily understand about Nick Arcade. So first things first, the way that I met Nick was through Speedy Calhoun, I believe. And Speedy knew Nick. He was in a group called State Champs with Johnny Red, who is now Booney Man, right? That's his rap name now?
Yeah.
Am I bugging?
Oh, no, you're right.
And so Nick's beats, as cold as they are now, have been this cold since 10 years ago when I met Nick. Like they've been cold for that long.
That's dope.
And I have like a handful of beats in a stash. And surprisingly enough, the original version of 25 milligrams that's on Lacuna was actually produced by Nick.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, so like I've known Nick for a very long time, and I've always wanted to kind of work with him on a project, but we've never really had the opportunity. So when the project that I was supposed to drop in November got pushed back, I was like, thinking, I was like, all right, who can give me some cold ass beats on short notice, who I can make a full project with, and the project is going to be really, really good, if not great. And the first name that popped into my head was Nick's, because, and so the first joint that I did was Time Crisis, which was over a beat that was also, ironically enough, entitled Time Crisis. And initially when I'd reached out to Nick and he'd sent me that first batch of beats, we were planning on putting something out in 2022.
Okay.
And then he sent me, I've reached out to a few different producers about 2022, and Nick was the only one who was like, what's 2 years really? And then he just kind of hit me with the ill beat pack.
Okay.
And Time Crisis hit me right off the bat. And then when I hit him about doing an EP with a short turnaround time, it just kind of kept hitting me with beats. And it was literally 100% field goal percentage. Like, my man had the crazy hot streak where every beat he sent me was worth rapping on. And like, not worth rapping on in the sense that like I had to settle for something, worth rapping on in the sense of like, if I didn't rap on these beats, somebody else was gonna rap on these beats and I was gonna be mad about it. And so, yeah, I mean, the first thing that I wanna say, because I know that Nate, I've been on here before and I've talked a lot about myself and kind of my own catalog as a rapper, but I think Nick Arcade is one of the best producers who people do not talk about enough. And one of the coolest things from the reaction video that you did with Juice last night was that Juice compared him to Madlib. And for as much as I think I think that's a really apt comparison. I don't think that's giving Nick enough credit as a producer, because this sound that he's had since I first heard his work.
Yeah.
And it was the thing that made me want to work with him. Like, I think a lot of people have been talking about lo-fi producers, lo-fi beats for like the past 5 or 6 years. Like, ever since homework edits on YouTube have been a thing. People have been talking about lo-fi and lo-fi beats. Nick has had this style, and then he's just sharpened it in the past 10 years that I've known him. And I'll let him kind of speak more to kind of his career and his trajectory. There are entire projects over this man's beats that have never come out that are like the best produced projects of the artist's career.
Damn. And
I would argue kind of like some of the best produced projects of anybody's career. Like, if anybody got these beats, it would be like a 4-mic album at the least, if they coasted on the rapping part. So when it came time to actually sit down and work on these joints, like I had, and I know I'm kind of getting ahead of myself and going off on tangents and rambling and all that, which I apologize for.
Hey man, that's what it's here for. Speak your truth.
Right. Yeah. That is the name of the show. But I remember when he sent me the beats, you know, I'm a full-time teacher. So asking me to make an EP in a week might be a bigger ask than a different rapper. But he sent me those beats, and I'm telling you, I wrote 34 bars of material. And then from there, and it was random. It's like random bars or couplets or whatever. But that's what the production inspired in me. And there are people who have sent me beats, and I've sat on the beats for like weeks, months, you know, occasionally years, and haven't really done anything with them. These beats were so good, I had to write to them. And not only did I have to write to them, and Nick can attest to this, but like, my best was not good enough for these beats. I had to take multiple passes at the verses. I had to take, you know, multiple edits on the verses. So for example, stuff like Adderall Adam, that was a verse that changed multiple times between when I first recorded to it and when people finally heard it. And that's because Nick is that talented of a producer. Okay. So, yeah, I just got to say that I think a lot of the urgency in this project, a lot of what were the more positive aspects of the rapping on the project really came from the fact that the beats were so good that I had to match them as a rapper.
That's fire.
So yeah, I feel like I answered 10 questions at once, but the reason why I did that was because I think more people should be talking about Nick Arcade as a producer. And I definitely think that the questions about this project should definitely be directed toward Nick, because without his production and without the high quality of the production, this would not have come out the way that it did.
Word. I'm definitely tuned in. What do you got to say, Nick? I mean, that's a heck of an intro. I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you, Defcee. That was like that was I like don't neither of you guys like don't apologize for talking too long or anything. That's what it's here for. We're having dope conversations, so don't feel bad about it or anything either.
Word. No doubt.
Yeah. So what do you got anything to say in response to him at all off the bat, Nick?
Man, it means the world. I mean, it means the world to me to have somebody as talented as Def talk about my beats like that. But I mean, it was fun to work on, even though like the day like I got the masters back, like I passed out because we were so back and forth like the whole 10 days, like because he would shoot them back so quick. I would sing beats and then they would just come back so fast, and I'm like, damn, is it done? Like, that's crazy. But it was like, it didn't sound rushed, no wasted bars, ill from start to finish. And then he would, before I could even really get through listening to the reference or the demo, then he'd be like, nah, let me do that over. And then send another one back. So it was just like, knowing that he was putting that time in to make sure everything was precise and on point made me, make sure that the beats were on the same level. So it was fun. It was fun to work on, honestly. Like, and it's one of the best projects I've had the pleasure of working on.
That's
easily
awesome to hear. So it's funny that you guys made this like separated, because my wife was just wondering. She asked me a question about how like songs get made like that. So can you just kind of explain the process of? Because I know when I'm in the studio with like Stock or whoever I'm with, it's like they're talking like face to face. No, do this with that, and it's immediate like reaction. So sending like files back and forth, like sending vocals over, and then so how do you give him feedback, and so how does that whole process work compared to being in the studio with somebody?
I mean, I'm used to this at this point because I was in. So I went to college at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So I would like come home, and I'm from the Chicagoland area originally. And then I would kind of link with people, and then they would just kind of send me beats, and then I would do what I would do to them, and then I'd send the writing back. Cause I'm a big fan of collaborating to the extent where I need to know what it is you need from me as a producer. Mm-hmm. I need that kind of guidance. And I need that affirmation to know that what I'm doing as a rapper is working for the music. So even as far back as like the music I put out when I was 17, shout out to my dude Black Sun from Baltimore. Back then he was known as Sun Tzu, the Soul Controller. But I was working with people and, sending music back and forth back in like 2006. So I'm kind of used to that process of you send me a batch of beats, I pick what I gravitate toward the most, mm-hmm. and then I try to write my best material, because at the end of the day, if you can't be here with me sharpening things in the studio, I want you to be comfortable with the fact that you collaborated with somebody potentially from a city that you've never even visited and are satisfied with the end product. I'm like a coach's player. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I think there are athletes who excel because they're naturally gifted, and I think there are athletes who excel because they're coachable, and I'm the latter.
Okay.
So, for me, that process is just kind of part of being a rapper. You know, you want to connect with people no matter where they're at. And especially if they're as good at producing music as Nick is, you want to make sure that you're bringing your best foot forward, because if you don't, it's going to show up in the music ultimately. So, I mean, for me as an MC, that kind of cross-country collaboration is easy. And I think it's kind of asking more of the producer, because at the end of the day, is the person who's writing the lyrics, right? Like, I have to carry the production from, so say a song as an instrumental version is an 8 out of 10. I got to carry it those last 2 notches so that it's a 10 out of 10. And sometimes those last 2 are the most difficult in terms of getting the final product to what it should be.
Okay.
So, and I kind of like that. I like that pressure, because then, you know, I can just kind of zone in and make sure that what I'm doing is as good as it can possibly be. Because I know that what I'm getting on the front end is super high quality. So at the end of the day, I'm just appreciative of the fact that somebody as talented as Nick has that much faith in me as an MC to literally collaborate across time zones to make something like this happen.
That's tight. Can you speak a little bit on how it is to work like cross country and stuff, Nick?
Honestly, it's not something I've done a lot. Really, since I moved here, I haven't put out a ton of music. I think maybe like one project with Tom and one beat tape when I first got here. But other than that, not a whole lot. But it's something that I'm used to doing and I'm comfortable with doing, because I'm not really like, I don't really work with everybody, but certain people, if they hit me up, I'm always gonna, you know, step up to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
And Def is definitely one of those people. So it was easy, because I had faith that what I was sending to him was gonna come back. You know, he was gonna take those last 2 steps, just like he said, like take it up those last 2 notches. So
yeah,
it's comfortable. it's a comfortable, like, collaborative situation.
Good. It's always good to be feeling comfortable, because when you're not feeling it, it's just like, I don't know. Do you ever have days where you're just not feeling it and you have to stop, or do you push through those days where, or do you just like put something to the side and start something else? Because I've seen guys just kind of burn themselves out, and it's just like they just start playing 2K in the studio instead of working anymore. Do you have days like that, or do you just start working on something else and table it?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like even in this like 10-day process, like getting the last couple beats was like me, you know, I was trying to force it, so I just had to get up, walk away, do something completely different.
Yeah.
And come back to it, because I know that when I force it, nothing good really comes from forcing it. Like,
yeah, definitely.
From experience, forcing it is not the way to go. So usually getting up and walking away does a whole lot for me in the creative process.
When you're building a beat, where does inspiration come from to add certain instruments? Is it like, do you hear like other songs you've built, or is it just like how do you build a complete new song, or complete new sound in your head, like from scratch? How does that process work for you?
And sometimes, I mean, a lot of times it starts with the sample, like the main melodic sample, like whatever that may be. Like I'll start with that. If I hear something, whether it's like on a movie, or, you know, I'm watching TV, or I'm just listening, like a lot of times I'll just listen to things that, you know, I plan on sampling, or I'll just build like a catalog of, you know, a stack of records that I know could potentially end up as beats, and then just go for those. Or, you know, I'll even dig on YouTube sometimes, or, you know, just wherever. Honestly, inspiration it comes from wherever with me. I try to be open to it, because at any moment it can strike for me.
That's awesome. Just got a couple messages from chat. Cruz Ocho says the new project is great. Arcade has been cold for a while. Speedy Calhoun is in here as well. He's got a bounce, but Says these dudes are two of the most important artists I know, and your work is timeless and
Wow.
necessary, which is like pretty much anybody that we talk to on here is the artists fit that to a T. So I mean, that's awesome that he said that. Use those words, timeless and necessary, because we say those words all the time on the stream. So pretty fitting that you guys are on here now too. So
word. And I just want to say, Cruz in Highest Low do not get enough credit.
No.
Like I think a lot of people from the Chicago underground hip hop scene, a lot of the music that they make is kind of derivative of a certain time and place without really feeling genuine or authentic. I think a lot of times that sound is a little dated. But Cruz and Wise, like those dudes, in addition to making music that sounds fresh while also kind of invoking that classic hip hop sound. If you've ever been to a Highest Low show,
oh man,
those dudes are crazy live.
They really are.
I gotta write that down now.
Like super ill. And I think a lot of that energy carries over into the music. And then Speedy just like, in addition to that being my brother, like for real, I've known Speedy for over a decade, since like Louder Than a Bomb Poetry Slam, when Moggs were rocking the Kanye West Shutter Shades. You know what I mean? Speedy has been, in addition to a super sharp MC, is like the one person I think from that era of battle rap, because he battles, who's gotten consistently better over the past 12 years. Like Speedy's in addition to making really dope music, is a really dope battle rapper. So, and is also like one of the most honest people I know. So I know that if
brand questions with you, Nick, because Defcee have already kind of gone through in our first interview, we went through a little bit of the, like what the tree represents, but I feel like it can definitely bring out some answers as to where your sound comes from, as far as like just who you are as a person. The tree is a really huge symbol in my brand, and I think it represents growth. It represents a whole lot of shit from the ground up. So starting with the roots, it represents, at least to me, this is what I see when I see trees. It represents your like core values as a person, what holds you down. So what would you say are a few of your core values, Nick, that you carry with you in everyday life?
Ooh, I'd say for me, loyalty is one of my core values. I'd say just being loyalty. I want to say work ethic is something that was instilled in me early on from my father, and I think that's something that, you know, is gonna take you to that next point, whatever that may be. Because, you know, we all are talented in our own ways. Like everybody, you know, you're born with some sort of talent, but if you don't have the work ethic to go along with it, like none of it really means anything. So I feel like work ethic is one of those things for me. I'm terrible at answering questions.
It's all good.
And I'm terrible at talking about myself too.
Okay, so to piggyback on that, loyalty and excuse me, what was the other one you said?
Oh, work ethic.
Work ethic. Sorry, loyalty and work ethic. How does that? How do you see that in Defcee? Is he? Obviously, you're working with him. How does he apply to those two characteristics?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, perfect example is like Sky Mob just kind of started rapping on one of my beat tapes. Like, I don't know how long ago was that? Like,
at least 10 years.
At least 10 years. So it was like, it was Speedy that I want to say that hit me up and told me that they had been rapping on my beat tape. And I was like, you know, it was crazy to me because I was in a group, State Champ. So that was, Red was the only person that really rapped on my beats at that time. Mm-hmm. And like, we just kind of built a relationship from there and stayed in touch. And he'll just hit me up out of the blue sometimes and like, hey, you want to send me some beats? And I'm always down. Like, I'm always down to work with him because I've been following his work and am a fan of it. So like anytime he reaches out, I'm always down. So I'd say like, you know, we have that relationship that we built over, you know, a 10+ year period.
That's
and
dope.
I think that, you know, the loyalty aspect of it and work ethic. I mean, to put a project together in 10 days, it's not something I've ever done. But I knew that if he reached out, that he was already in, so I was gonna go, you know, full speed ahead at that point. So
that's dope. Moving up the tree, the body of the tree would represent kind of the people that you keep around you. How important is it to keep like positive people around you to make sure that you're going in the right direction and just to build each other up? Because I'm working with somebody else here in Chicago. We're two brands working together, just making sure we're more progressing and stuff. So how important is it to have good people around you?
Oh man, well, steel sharpens steel, you know.
Definitely.
So I mean, that it's so important, and you don't really realize how important it is until you're out of a situation that's maybe negative for you, or you know, maybe dragging you down. And once you remove yourself from that, and you know, you're reinforcing that positive thought, that stream of positive thought, like things can, you know, change in a month, a couple weeks, a day. Like I'm living proof, honestly. Like I moved out here, and I mean, separating myself from, you know, a lot of the negative thoughts that I was having before I moved, and coming here with a clean slate and just working from the moment I got here, you know, put me in a way different position than I was before I left. So, you know, and I've been able to also circle back to music and put out an incredible project in 10 days. Like it's important. Positive thought is, you know, it goes a long way.
Definitely. This is a good question for both of you, actually. The branches would represent experiences that you've had in life. Each branch could be good, bad, long, short. Some of them are, you know, longer experiences, whatever. So can you guys both speak on a couple of experiences that kind of inspired the project or helped formulate the project?
I know for me, one of the things about the project that I really appreciated in terms of what the production brought out of me, like I felt like usually when I create a project, so Lacuna, for example, which came out last year, was the product of kind of like 5 years of reflecting and writing about things that had happened to me probably prior to the beginning of that. So if I started writing in 2014, most of what I was discussing in the music had happened between like 2005 and 2009. So the production on this and the thing that I really learned how to do in this project was how to process things that were happening to me in the moment. And immediately. So I would say that in terms of the experiences that inspired the project, it really was me kind of writing about things that I've been thinking about a lot lately, as far as kind of from non sequitur through the end of the project. And then when it came to songs like Krakoa and Adderall Adam, it was more so kind of like there were bars in Adderall Adam that have been around for a few years, and then Krakoa was something I just kind of wrote on the fly.
Wow!
But it was more so kind of like challenging myself to write, to like do that super rapping stuff without relying on beats that I'd written years ago. So, you know, there were elements of Adderall Adam that were older but I built a bunch of new material around it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say as far as this project is concerned and the experiences that informed it, there were definitely a bunch of current events in my personal life that I was addressing as far as tracks 3 through 5. And then as far as tracks 1 and 2, more so kind of like things I noticed in rap and things I noticed from rappers who I wasn't really rocking with,
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of wanted to address kind of in a more tongue-in-cheek, comical way while not sacrificing any of the writing.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, Nick?
From my perspective, honestly, I think the experiences that inspired me were just kind of like, honestly, thinking back to the fact that the last show before I left was with Def, and this whole time I've kind of been here, I've been trying to figure out what like Southwestern Nick Arcade sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like a struggle because I'm like, I know what Midwestern cold weather Nick Arcade sounds like.
Yeah.
It's very specific. Like the winter brings a certain mood out of me. But
Okay.
like being here, it's been kind of like push and pull because I'm second guessing every beat, every sound. And then this was like kind of like a moment for me where I was like, nah, I think I figured it out. Like I think I can find a balance and sharpen what I was already doing and kind of update it a little bit. And I think this was like, you know, for me, the moment where I figured it out, because all of those are beats that I made in like, you know, the past couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anything that had really been
man.
sitting for too long. So
That's crazy because they're so polished, man. Like,
thank you.
they're
man.
fire. Like the whole man. And they're just I don't even know what to say sometimes, bro. And that like this project literally just has me speechless. Like I don't know what, like I really don't know how to explain it. Like fire's cliche. Like dope is just like I say those words all the time. Like they don't mean anything. Like it doesn't do it justice. So like I really don't like know how to explain how dope it is because. So I mean, yeah, the production is nuts, man. I'm glad you found some confidence, and I hope it continues because if you just now found the confidence where you're at, that's crazy because there's gonna be so much more insane shit to come. Like that's nuts, bro. Like that's crazy. I guess you kind of learned a little bit you learned a little bit that you trust yourself a little more. Is there the final part of the tree is the leaves that some fall to the ground, some stay on the tree, and those represent the lessons that you've taken from those experiences. So is there any lessons outside of maybe that you can trust yourself a little bit more that you learned from while doing the project?
I mean, that's the main one that really kind of like, you know, it overlaps with all the other lessons. It's like, stop second guessing yourself, do the work, sit down. I mean, part of what hindered me from getting to that point was just like sitting down and taking the time to make beats, because it's like I talked about earlier, forcing it a lot and being on a schedule. Like, honestly, this pandemic was, you know, a blessing in disguise, because I had the time. Like, I finally kind of had the time to sit down and go through records and really start chopping stuff up and kind of get that, you know, it's like riding a bike, you know, just knocking off the rust and getting back to it and getting back the feel for it. Yeah. So, and, you know, I know that I know how to do it, but it was just like forcing it. Like I said, forcing it never turns out in a positive way. Yeah. So I think really just not second guessing myself is something that I'm taking forward into the future in the new year. And that's really the main lesson for me.
That's a good lesson. How about you, Defcee?
As far as the leaves are concerned, I would say remind me the significance of the leaves real
just
quick.
The lessons that you've learned, either from just the experiences you've taken from the album or just in general.
So I would say, in terms of the lessons I learned from putting this EP together, I think I'm got so caught up in the fact that I didn't have a writing process that I would kind of, and I think a lot of rappers, a lot of writers kind of get into this. You get so into your head about creating that you forget that it's really just about like you're trying to write something dope and record something dope over dope ass production. Like the equation is not like you're not trying to crack the nuclear code. You know what I mean? Like you're just trying to make something ill that people are gonna appreciate. And so challenge like this to put something together before Bandcamp Friday, which is what we were trying to do, it really helped me figure out what my writing process is. So I think the lesson that I took away from this EP was that I know what inspires me to write. I know how to attack making something really good from scratch. And I know that, you know, I think a lot of times when rappers sit down and get writer's block, it's because I'm sitting in front of this page and I don't know the first bar to put down. But if my goal is instead to just generate material, which is something I think a lot of producers do, then I'm cool. Started, just kind of had the beats playing on loop. I was listening to him as a fan. Like I wasn't even listening to him as a rapper who like has to create something in the moment. And I was just writing bars. So like I had like a couple notebook pages that were really just kind of 34 bars worth of material, but they were like disembodied. So I would have like a bar I would think of and I'd write it down and it didn't have a setup. It was just a punchline. Or I would have like, you know, I would think of a punchline and then think of a good setup line that was just as good as the punchline, and I would write that down. Or I would come up with a punchline that would be the first bar of like a 4 or 8 bar section. So I just kind of had these couple pages of bars, and if I can do something that's this good with essentially 10 days notice, I can do pretty much anything. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I have to be inspired by quality music. And so the fact that Nick was able to produce music of that quality that inspired that kind of writing in me says a lot.
That's awesome.
Two that I learned is it's not even necessarily about the material that you're creating as a rapper, but it's about the people who you're around who set a standard that you're going to want to meet. And so that's definitely a part of it as well.
That's dope. I've got a question for Nick. What would you say is Defcee was kind of speaking, he knows what his inspiration is to write now. What would you say your inspiration to make beats is? What made you want to start producing, I guess I should say?
Well, originally, I started producing because I was rapping. Okay. And
somebody said you got the bars in the chat too.
Oh man. Long time ago. But I originally started making beats because we couldn't, like me and my homie Red couldn't get beats, and we wanted to rap. We were like in high school, so I was just like, I got a cracked version of FL Studio from somebody and installed it on my parents' PC and just kind of started messing around. Like that's where it started. But I mean, I always wanted to, like, certain beats for me made me want to make beats. Like Troy by Pete Rock and CL Smooth was one of those beats. It pretty much, the whole Low End Theory made me want to make beats. There's so many albums for me that kind of like sparked that feeling, but until I like got a hold of like FL Studio, you know, sometime later is when I really started to kind of formulate those ideas and kind of figure out what it meant to make beats or produce.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. I appreciate it. Let's see. I had another question written down here. I lost it, but I'm just gonna go. We'll go improv from here. What would you say is your most Hold on, let me get this train. Those trains are really annoying. the most memorable experience from music that you've had so far.
From like directly related to music, or like,
an experience that your music has brought you that you like your favorite moment so far.
Oh man, traveling. Honestly, when I was rapping, I got to tour a little bit, and we went to New York, and we were at South by Southwest. Like, so realizing that like the music can take me other places, and have that ability to move around and see places I hadn't seen through music was like a kind of like an eye-opening experience. So that's probably one of my best experiences, just having the ability to travel and tour. Also people just that I've never met in my life, discovering what I'm doing or listening to what I'm doing. That's still like a very cool feeling to know that people I've never met can take a liking to something I'm doing.
Definitely. Do you ever get messages on Instagram or anything just from random people saying like, "Oh my gosh, this is dope"?
Yeah. It still, it still bugs me out. Like,
that's cool. What about you, Defcee?
Repeat the question one more time.
Your favorite experience or favorite moment that has happened from your music.
Wow. All right. I'm gonna try to keep this brief because I think I've gotten to do a whole bunch of cool stuff. So I actually had a full ride scholarship to the University of Wisconsin for rapping. Cool. So there's a program, it still exists, called First Wave Spoken Word and Hip Hop Arts program, and they paid my tuition for 4 years of undergrad.
Wow.
Off of rap, which is really dope. So I'm trying to think. My homie Denez Smith is probably the most well-known. They're probably of our generation of poets, probably the most well-known. So they were in that cohort of the program with me.
Okay.
My homie Phonetic One, rest in peace. Andrew Thomas, he was in that program. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the coolest things. And that led me to, I was overseas in Panama for a year in college. And it covered pretty much my whole year over there. That was really dope. I was able to meet DJ Kool Herc when I was 17.
Okay.
And shout out to Herc, that's the godfather of hip hop. So yeah, that's definitely one of the coolest experiences. And then, when I was 19, I was able to go to London and basically support myself over there for a month, rapping and teaching workshops.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's kind of tough to pick. I mean, really, like, I started writing raps when I was 11. And when I started writing, I really just kind of needed an outlet. I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't a conscious decision. And then, just from being like an 11-year-old angsty kid in River Forest to now, I've gotten a lot of really cool opportunities that I've been very fortunate to receive as a result of hip hop. So like, I kind of owe damn near, like, even my wife, like I met my wife when I was in Panama studying abroad as a result of this program that I got into in the University of Wisconsin. So
that's amazing.
Damn near all of the great things that I have in my life are things that I owe to hip hop. So it's kind of tough for me to pick one. But everything I just mentioned, for sure.
Dope.
Yeah.
I think I just got like one last question for you guys. It's another kind of a Brandon question. What does truth mean to you, Nick?
Truth. Ooh, man. Truth. Man, that's a tough one. Honestly, well, truth is to me is honesty. It is not wavering on your beliefs. I would say, I mean, that's about all I got, man. I'm terrible at this. I'm sorry.
Not terrible, man. Hey, sometimes fewer words are better.
I'm a man of
feeling.
I'm definitely a man of 2 words.
I know I've asked you before, Defcee, but I'd ask every time just to see if it changes, how it changes. So what does truth mean to you today?
Today it means that I'm honored to work with people as humble and as sincere as Nick. And I think that the reason that I've been able to maintain the relationships that I've had over a long period of time with the people who I've been lucky enough to work with are due to the fact that I've never been anything other than myself. You know, since I've been, I think when you're a kid and you're growing up, and I could say this as like a high school teacher, you're trying out a bunch of different identities and seeing which one sticks. And then kind of the benefit of adulthood and in wisdom is figuring out who you are for real. And I think it's weird for being somebody who's over 30. I think I'm finally figuring out who it is I am. And I think a lot of what I owe my relationships in music and just kind of in life in general to, I owe it to the fact that humility and sincerity have kind of always been guiding principles for me. And I think part of why this partnership with Nick has worked so effectively is because Nick is somebody else who is incredibly gifted and incredibly talented, but is also so humble and sincere. I mean, we spent, most producers, I would say, if you're working on a project with them, you'll spend, at least an hour total on the phone with them trying to work out, what's the inspiration, what's the direction, whatever. And I think Nick and I, when we were putting this together, we maybe spent 40 to 45 minutes on the phone together total.
Okay. Wow.
And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I trusted him, he trusted me, and that's because we're both very honest and transparent people. And we knew that if we weren't rocking with something that the other person was doing, we were going to hear about it. Yeah. So it was just more so about kind of like building from strength to strength in terms of the music we were making. So what truth means to me is that you're you pretty much in every facet of your life, in that you are going to connect with people who appreciate that same kind of sincerity, and who are going to honor the fact that not only are you a talented person, but that you're a genuine person. Dope. And that's what truth means to me today.
Hell yeah. I love it. I guess I got one last kind of a silly question. I just thought of this one. Can you guys remember what the first CD or the first piece of music that you bought from a store was?
Oh man.
Also, thank you, Wally West, for the comment. I appreciate that.
Man, also, just real quick, sorry to interrupt, Nick. I wanna just advocate for a Wally West project fully produced by Nick Arcade.
Man, I got a lot more people to check out now. I gotta get more people on this. I'm sure we'll have another chat too, Nick. This is gonna be dope.
For sure. Man, what was? Man, I stole some of these CDs from my older sister growing up. So I don't want to count those, but I think one of the first ones was Digital Underground Future Rhythm. It's if you haven't heard it, go check it out. But you might, because Shock G is actually one of my favorite producers.
Okay.
That doesn't get a lot of that credit, but if you go back and listen to that album, you'll probably hear some of the things that I do, because I listened to that on a Discman on the bus to school. like
That's fire.
for like a year straight. But that's one of the ones that sticks out to me. And I think one of the first ones I bought with my own money would have been DMX's "Dark and Hell Is Hot."
Okay. What kind of headphones did you use with the Discman? Did you use the around the back of the head or over the ear?
Over the ear, just over the ear.
Word.
For sure.
How about you, Defcee? Can you remember the first one you bought?
I got 4.
Okay.
I don't really remember which order.
Fair enough.
So, Common, Like Water for Chocolate.
Ooh.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Ironically enough, because I said the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, The Carnival by Wyclef Jean, which is an unsung, like that album is really dope. People don't talk about that enough.
I'm gonna circle back to that one real quick.
Yeah, no. The production and then even the rhyming, like whoever was writing, even if it was Clef writing the rhymes, like that was a really dope. That's a dope album. And then the last one is kind of a rarity, but there was in the late 90s, early 2000s, Bob Marley remix album called Chant Down Babylon with like Rakim, Flip Mode Squad. It's dope. It's actually really dope. And I think Damian Marley had a big hand in producing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it holds up. I'm kind of surprised. I've revisited it and it's really good. And there's the Lauryn Hill cover of Turn Your Lights Down Low, which is excellent. So yeah, those 4 I would say are like, I can't remember what the order was, but I know that those were the first 4 I bought with my own money.
Dope. That's awesome. Well, shit, man. Yeah. I appreciate you guys so much for coming on. It was awesome to meet you, Nick. This definitely won't be our last chat for either all 3 of us.
No doubt. Pay Nick Arcade for beats.
Yes.
Buy beats from that man.
That, and also everybody go to Bandcamp and support these guys' project. Is it defcee.bandcamp.com, right?
Yeah, defcee.bandcamp.com. And, Nick and I, any money that you put into that, we appreciate you for. And we've already kind of got some ideas brewing for the deluxe edition. Ooh. And the thing that we did not talk about that actually does not get spoken of enough is the fact that Nick owns his own business in Phoenix. He owns his own store. He designed the cover. He's a really dope designer. Works a lot, like, as I'm sure everybody on the stream can see, has a good knack for fashion and putting things like that together. It's called Black Broccoli, right? That's the name of your store in Phoenix?
That's it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Nick, not only for being a dope producer, but also being a dope rapper and having a sharp eye for design and fashion as well.
Appreciate you, man.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, shit, I appreciate you guys again. Won't be the last time. Hope you guys have a solid night. Any final thoughts on anything, guys? Are you ready to head out?
Oh no, I don't got it.
Man, a few words.
Yeah. Pay Nick Arcade for beats. The man does not get enough credit. And, for as cold as his beats are now, this is somebody who's had the same style. Like most people, the first time I hear your beats, I'm able to tell, like, you're a Premier fan, you're a Pete Rock fan, you're a, whatever, you're a Madlib fan. Nick is one of those producers where he had a signature sound from the first beat of his I heard 10 years ago. And also, I don't know if Speedy Calhoun is still on the chat. X's and O's, make that happen. That was a cold album, and I wish it came out. X's and O's, Speedy, make that happen.
All right, awesome. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a safe night, and we'll catch you next time. Later, guys.
Appreciate it.
Right, you too. Thank you, Nate. Hey, yo, one thing before we get off.
Yeah, what's up?
Nate, I gotta acknowledge the fact that you did the reaction video. And I appreciated the fact that, like, there's not really a lot of nuance in terms of people reviewing rap music.
Yeah.
And you actually had the nerve, and I'm using the nerve as kind of like ironic, but to call one of the joints on the album underwhelming.
And I regretted it immediately because it was the wrong word. I didn't want to say that word, though. It wasn't the right word after I heard myself say it. I was like, that wasn't what I wanted to say.
Yo, but
that wasn't it. Like, that wasn't the right one.
Yo, but look, you have nothing to apologize for. Keep doing that. Because I think there isn't enough of that in terms of how we critique and review music now. Like I came up reading the source. I know Nick came up reading the source. Yep. And you know, that was an era of music where it wasn't, when you talked about music, it wasn't just like it's either a classic or it's whack. So I appreciate that nuance. I appreciate that honesty. Keep that same energy with everything that you review. I want to hear more of that. And I appreciate the fact that you've constantly given people like myself and people like Nick a platform. So thank you.
Anything you guys ever need, hit me up. Nick, just let me know. I don't know. You need me to post something, whatever it is, bro. Just let me know. That's what I built the platform for, was for the artists and to build everybody up. So, when I'm doing those reviews, I don't ever want to say anything negative. And then, like, it made sense. Like after the whole album played, like I did use the wrong word. I didn't want to say underwhelming, but like. It fit. Like the whole project was perfect, man. Like it flowed nice, and yeah. So I appreciate the feedback as well, and shit, man. Yeah. I don't know what else. I get always tongue tied. So
all good. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate you.
No problem. Take it easy, guys. Have a good night.
You.
Hey, shit. I appreciate everybody stopping by. It looks like we had quite a few viewers on YouTube tonight. That's chill. And we had a couple viewers on Twitch. I know Rosie was over there on Twitch. Appreciate everybody tuning in and giving me some feedback there. Guess what? On Monday, we got Chris Webby. Chris Webby's coming on the stream Monday. Oh my God, I'm so excited, dude. Monday is Chris Webby. Tuesday we have Jay Bambi, a local artist here from Chicago. And then Wednesday we got Michael fucking Christmas, dude. Boston rapper. Dude, we got so much dope shit happening next week. Because what else is it? Because if I don't land another interview on Thursday, we're going to do a Mac Miller day on either Thursday or Friday, whichever day. There's going to be an interview in there at some point as well. I appreciate that, Cruz. Thank you so much. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in, Wally. But yeah, we got Chris fucking Webby on Monday. We got Michael Christmas on Wednesday. Jay Bambi on Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I got interviews 3 days in a row next week, so please tune in for that. Stay tuned for more dope content. We'll have more first listen sessions. We'll have more. I'm going to start a Know Your Roots campaign as well. I want people to know the brand a little bit more with what the tree represents and everything. So be on the lookout for some Know Your Roots content. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. I hope everybody